Hey guys, what's up? It's Nikki and I'm here with another tutorial for you guys today. And today I'm going to show you guys how to make your very own pair of leggings. And so the first thing I'm going to do is give you a little bit of information on how to pick fabric. Step number one to picking your fabric is find something that is stretchy. Okay, you can pick a solid color, you can pick a pattern, but the most important thing is that your fabric is stretchy. So you need at least a one-way stretch fabric. So the way that you can tell if your fabric is a one-way stretch is it has to stretch at least one way. A two-way stretch would stretch two ways, okay? And there's even a four-way stretch, which stretches no matter which way you pull it. So as long as you have at least a one-way stretch, you're good to go. Okay, so if you guys decide to pick a fabric that has a pattern on it, then you're going to have to ask yourself which way you want the pattern to go. Okay, now the rule of thumb when you're making leggings or any other type of clothes, you always want the stretch to go across the width of your body. It's okay if there's stretch vertically, but if the fabric is only a one-way stretch, it has to stretch across the width. So if I was going to make a shirt out of this, it would stretch this way. Okay, so if you bought this fabric and you said, oh, I want the stripes to be vertical on you, and you hold it up and it doesn't stretch this way, then it's not going to work for you, and you would know that you would have to run the material this way. So when you are picking out material, always make sure that you're paying attention to the direction of the pattern and the direction of the stretch. Okay, so now we have the legs separated. Okay, so they're just floppy little legs now. And now all we have to do is cut up on this seam right here. We're going to be cutting up from the crotch. We're just cutting right up along both sides to separate the two halves. And then we are going to do the same thing right here. Once you get them separated, you pick the half that you want to work with, and I picked the half that actually has the bulk of the seam left because it already is going to have my seam allowance built in for me, so I won't have to account for that when I'm tracing the pattern. So I'll literally just be able to trace right up along here. I'll be able to trace right down here, and the only place I will have to add a seam allowance is down here because I did end up cutting the bulk of that seam off, but I will measure what this is and then I will add that to this side. So this is going to be the piece that we're working with. So if this is face up, then you need your pattern to be face up. And now what I'm going to do is kind of just take my time and lay this out. And you want to make sure that you get everything lined up the way that you want. Kind of want the pants to stop about midway through here. So I am going to put the seam right down here. Okay, so now that we have this, we're just going to kind of press it all out, make sure that there's no wrinkles anywhere. Right here we have our seam allowance already. I don't have to account for that seam allowance, so I'm just going to start right down here. And all this excess material here, I'm going to leave. Okay. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is just cut a little bit here. And then now I'm going to cut outside of this line, and I'm going to cut. Now I'm not like a huge, I don't measure everything. I do a lot by eye. So I am just going to roll this. Now if you want to measure, what you would do is you would measure how big this seam allowance is, and then you would come over to this side and you would measure away from the pants that amount, and you would mark that. If you're not comfortable cutting it freehand, then I would suggest doing that, but I am comfortable cutting it freehand, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So now we have piece number 1. Okay, so now that I have this lined up properly and the way that I want, I am just going to cut it out. Remember, we already did any seam allowances that we needed to do on the previous piece when we cut this top piece out. So when we're cutting out this bottom piece, we're going to hug right along this edge as best as we can. So now we are going to sew right up this seam here at the sewing machine. And so I'm just going to make sure to just gently guide through. We're going to do the same thing we did along this back seam, but we're going to do it along this seam right here. Now what we are going to do is come in and we want to pin the crotch seam together and make sure that it is even. And just keep going down the leg. Okay, so now that we have our leggings sewn, I am going to work on the waist here. do it at 2 inches. And that'll give me a decent size seam allowance. And so what you're gonna do is you're just gonna lay your little guy on here. And this is a sewing gauge, and I'm just using it to make sure that I am rolled over enough. It's gonna take a little finagling, but you'll get it. And once you start to do it, you're just gonna pin right along the bottom. And once you get that fold in place, it'll just kind of line itself up generally. But you wanna check periodically that you are staying within the 2-inch mark. So right now we are still at 2 inches. And here we are right back where we started. So I have put in pins vertically here and here because I'm not gonna sew in this area. Now I'm gonna continue sewing with my stretch stitch, and I'm going to pull off this part of my machine so the pants can go right over it. See where this vertical pin is? I'm going to lay my presser foot right where that pin was. And I'm going to run the edge of my presser foot along this pink line here so that I know that it's straight. And I'm going to move my needle all the way over to the left-hand side. Actually, I'm going to do it like that. And now I'm just going to start with the same stretch stitch. Now what I'm going to do is take a safety pin, and I'm going to put this safety pin in the edge of the elastic, and that's going to help me guide it through the seam. So right now I'm going to run the elastic through, and we are going to put it in through the hole that we left, and we are going to start sliding that through. So as you can see, we're putting it through this hole that we left open, and we're going to use the safety pin to guide it through, and we're going to go all the way around. And what I'm doing here is I'm pushing the elastic down a ways, or pushing the safety pin down, and then bunch up the fabric. Now hold the safety pin and pull on this fabric down here, and that's what's going to help guide your elastic through. Okay, now that our elastic is completely fed through, what we want to do is sew the ends together. So we're going to take these two ends here, and what I've done is taken the one here and the one here, and we're just putting them together, and we're going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance or a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, so now what we are going to do is open this up. Okay, so as you can see, it's still closed. We're going to open it up, and then we are going to sew down the flaps so that they lay flat. Okay, now what we're going to do is cut off any loose threads, and then we're going to just pull on the waistband to get that elastic to sit in there nice. Okay, and now that the elastic is in there, we are just going to sew shut the joint there. Being careful not to sew the elastic. So now I'm just going to I'm going to roll the leg up a little bit, and I'm going to cut these triangles in half, which is the same thing that I did on the other side. Feel free to measure how you want to hem your pants, but if you are looking to stop them at a specific point on the pattern, then just kind of go ahead and do that. Now our leggings are done. Okay guys, so that is the end of this video tutorial on how to make your very own pair of leggings. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please be sure to like and subscribe below for future videos like this. And if there's any other videos you'd like to see, just let me know, or if you need any more of a detailed video, or if you need a detailed video about any of the things I've talked about, whether it's a walking foot, how to pick material for your project, how to know how much material you need, please be sure to just let me know what you want to see, and I would be happy to do that for you. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video, and I hope you have a really good day and enjoy your new leggings. And please send me pictures. If you make leggings, be sure to send them to my Instagram, Facebook, or Snapchat, because I would love to see the leggings that you created using this tutorial. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!